Welcome to Central News, I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, one of the world's best loved preschool children's entertainment group, High Five, will hit the big screen in a new movie, and cast member Lauren Brandt is in New Zealand to promote the new film. Lauren says High Five, Some Kind of Wonderful, provides a unique cinematic experience where children and parents alike will sing along to their favourite High Five songs throughout the feature, as she and Stevie take the audience on a roller coaster ride of what the High Five family is all about. She says throughout the movie, the multi-Logie and ARIA award-winning High Five stays true to its original premise, which is to encourage children to enjoy being active through dance, movement and play.
It's a really great movie for the parents and the kids to experience together. There's information there for the adults about how much passion and energy and background goes into the creation of High Five. And then for the children, there's some of our favourite songs. There's great animations that we tell them to get up and dance in the cinema. So normally you go into a cinema and it's, everyone be quiet and you try open your wrappers really, really quietly. But in this one, everyone will be up and dancing and having fun, hopefully. So I'm super excited. It's the first movie for High Five, but it's got all sorts of things and I don't really know how to explain it. You'll just have to go and watch it.
Waikato Regional Council is moving to contain and eradicate a significant outbreak of alligator weed, which has been discovered on a 36-hectare property just south of Hamilton. Alligator weed, which has been in the country for more than a century, is a South American pest plant that is fortunately rare in the Waikato. The weed can spread rapidly, taking over pasture and other land, and is very difficult to eradicate. The council classifies alligator weed as an eradication pest, meaning that where it is detected, the council will act to remove it immediately, given the threat it poses to productive land and native plants. Rekindling the dream of Kiwis owning their own affordable home is the driving force for the Labour Party's Kiwi Build initiative. Phil Twyford, the party's newly appointed spokesperson for housing, visited Tauranga this week, meeting with Mayor Stuart Crosby and building companies to discuss Labour's plans to build 100,000 affordable homes during a 10-year period. Phil says affordable homes in Tauranga is a high priority after ranking third behind Auckland and Christchurch as the most unaffordable city for housing, with an average asking price of $415,000 in 2012. Now for our region's weather for the weekend. Your Saturday Hamilton brings sunshine with a light wind. Your expected high is 27 and an overnight low of 12. Tauranga, your Saturday will be fine with light winds. Your expected high is 25 and an overnight low of 16. Hamilton, your Sunday is much the same as your Saturday, fine with light winds. Your expected high is 28 and an overnight low of 12. Sunday for you, Tauranga, is fine with light winds, and your expected high is 25 and an overnight low of 16. Unfortunately, no relief for the drought there, but there is rain forecasted for Monday and Tuesday. Just ahead, what's happening at Mystery Creek. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. Mystery Creek Event Centre is hosting a few major events this year. Amy found out more.
Well, the facilities at Mystery Creek Event Centre, Amy, are quite unique. So, born out of Field Days, our flagship event, which started back in 1968, the Mystery Creek properties evolved over the last 45 years to what it is today. The property currently sits at 115 hectares. And we have a collection of buildings from our large pavilion, which is 10,000 square metres, through to the Bledisloe Hall and the Heritage Village, and a variety of smaller exhibition spaces in between. But the real, I guess, point of difference for Mystery Creek is that you can dig on it, sleep on it, party on it, exhibit on it. It's quite a versatile campus, and last year we embarked on a master plan for the property, which basically creates a roadmap for us for the next 15 years in terms of how we're going to develop it. We now have 16 key projects that we're working on, and trying to unlock the potential that the site holds for not only the region but for the country.
And what type of events do you house?
So Field Days is our flagship event, held in June every year, so 12th to 15th of June this year. Field Days attracts around 130,000 visitors from not just New Zealand but all over the world. Field Days' annual contribution to the national economy ranges between $650 and $800 million a year. So it's a really important event, and it's what our business has been built around. But the event centre's evolving into a lot more than that. So every year now we host the Parachute Music Festival in January. Really proud that we've been working with Parachute for 10 years and just signed them up for another 5. This year we had 18,000 people join us in January and had an amazing time at Mystery Creek. We have the Expo coming up in March from the 7th to the 9th, which is the transport and heavy equipment industry's premier flagship event, and that's another event we actually own. In November 2012 we ran Equidays for the 2nd year, which is our equestrian event, which was another massive success. And then in between that we have a whole heap of other events that we host or hire the venue out to run. This summer, for example, we've hosted about 30 weddings on the property down in the Heritage Village. So the property is very versatile and very unique, and can cope from everything from 130,000 visitors to field days to an intimate 100-head wedding.
What is your mission as an event hosting arena?
Our mission, Amy, is really to create a very versatile event centre that will serve the region in New Zealand, and we see our role as developing Mystery Creek over the next 15 years to become a mega event centre. We host everything, obviously, from field days, our flagship event, and the event centre has by and large been designed around field days and coping with an event of that size and scale. And last year we purchased an additional 25 hectares of land adjacent to the property to make sure that we've got room for field days to continue to grow and evolve and develop. Our Heritage Village is another area that we're very, very proud of and will continue to invest and develop in. And at the moment that's an educational facility showcasing the heritage of New Zealand and New Zealand farming. And then we have other unique areas of the property like the natural amphitheatre we have up the southern end of the property, which on the first weekend of March we'll host the Classic Hits winery tour up there. So the property is quite versatile, and I guess it's that versatility and flexibility that's key to our success going forward.
So what is generally your biggest event of the year? Can you tell us a bit about this?
Yeah, so Field Days is our biggest event. 2013 will be our 45th year. As I said, our visitor numbers are up around 130,000 now. We've just over 1,000 exhibitors, and not just visitors from New Zealand, but all over the world. This year we're expecting record numbers of international visitors. Our theme for Field Days this year is getting down to business in the global economy. And that's really looking at some of the challenges that we have going forward as the world's population grows, how we're going to feed, how do we ensure security around food, and what role can New Zealand play in that through agriculture, through primary production and technology.
Now, how much planning and work goes in to help cope with such large numbers attending each event?
Yeah, so I mean over the course of a year we'll probably host something just short of 250,000 people through the event centre, and we do that with actually quite a small team of staff. So we've got just on 30 permanent staff. A third of those are operational, so maintenance, site prep, set up and breakdown around the events. And then each one of the events we own and host has its own team looking after that event, looking after our exhibitors, planning our customer experience, and then we have sort of the core functions of me, the marketing team, comms, etc.
And when was the new HQ building constructed, and what has it been built for?
Well, the headquarters building's really been designed as the flagship for the Field Day Society and for Mystery Creek Event Centre. So the building's been designed by Chow Hill, and it's a stunning design, and we're incredibly proud of what they've come up with, and that they've captured the heart and soul of what we're about. Fletcher Construction have built it for us and done an amazing job, and we got the keys last night, and over the next 3 or 4 days we'll be moving in, and we'll be operational up in the building from the 25th of February.
Just ahead, New Zealand Book Month. Welcome back. As part of New Zealand Book Month, we will be chatting to some authors from around the regions. And we have our first author of the month, Lance Morgan from Tauranga. So Lance, your writing process is a bit different. You work with your son, who lives in Sydney. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, that's one of our big challenges. James is based in Sydney, Australia, so we do all our writing at long distance, separated by the ditch. So we're on Skype and email and telephone literally every day, often all day. So that is one of the challenges that we do face in writing our screenplays and novels. James is also an actor. So he's pursuing film acting opportunities at the same time in Australia, and in fact he's just recently finished acting a lead role in 2 Australian Bollywood films that were shot in Sydney over the Christmas period, and he actually wrote the screenplays for both of those also. So yeah.
Are there any a few tensions between 2 creative minds kind of coming together?
Well, there's always, when you're collaborating, there's always creative differences, and I guess there's, with father and son, which I guess is quite a rare phenomenon in writing these days, there's also the age gap. But at the same time, that can be a strength because James brings a younger perspective to our writing, of course, and I bring perhaps a more mature, or he might say staid perspective. So we get a bit of a balance there, and it's quite neat really. And at the same time, whilst there are some creative differences, I think the benefits outweigh the disadvantages in that we can each act as editor for the other writer. And I think in the long run it lifts the standard of our writing. That's the theory anyway.
So where did you get the idea for your first book, Fiji?
Well, I've been to Fiji a number of times on business and on holiday, and I've always had a love of history and historical novels. And on about my 3rd trip there, I thought, gee, this would be a mighty destination for a novel. I'm also a fan of Michener, and having read Michener's novels, especially Hawaii, and I felt there'd be a wonderful opportunity for something along those lines, but set in 19th century Fiji. When, of course, cannibalism was rife and the missionaries were arriving in Fiji and the settlers, and there was all sorts of strife and bloodshed and lust and romance. And so we've taken a real swashbuckling approach to our novel, and hopefully we've captured the era in Fiji.
Because, I mean, with a novel like that, there is quite a lot of historical stuff in it, so there must be a great deal of research to get those bits.
Yeah, any historical novel, there is always a lot of research, of course, but having said that, we're not slaves to the history. We reserve a bit of artistic license, if you like, keeping in mind that an historical novel is not a history book. It is a novel, which is a work of fiction. So we just use the historic setting, if you like, to set the story against, and then the rest of it from there on is fiction, with hopefully a bit of accurate truths sprinkled throughout it. And I think with Fiji we've achieved that.
Now, you've got the international trilogy, which is The Ninth Orphan, and that's actually a trilogy, so tell us about that.
Yes, we're very excited about this one, the Orphan Trilogy. We just brought the 3rd book in the trilogy out last week. It's available on Amazon. This was the first book, The Ninth Orphan. We wrote that and brought that out in 2011. And it's a conspiracy thriller series that taps into a number of conspiracies. So it merges, once again, fact with fiction. It's about 23 orphans who were raised by an agency called the Omega Agency that has designs on establishing a new world order. It raises these orphans to be elite operatives and assassins to further their New World Order designs. One of those orphans, who's the 9th born orphan, who goes by the name Number 9, or 9 as we call him, rebels, and he wants to be his own man. He wants to get off the grid. So basically the trilogy is about his efforts to, first of all, escape from the Omega Agency and become his own man and live a normal life and marry his one true love and so on. And then in the later books, his attempts to remain free of the agency and ultimately to deal to them and exact a bit of revenge against them.
Sounds pretty interesting. Now, you guys also, so you adapt your novels to screenplays.
We do, yes.
Tell us about that process.
Yeah, well, that's challenging because screenwriting itself is a different art, if you like, to writing novels. And when we come off a novel to write a screenplay or vice versa, it's quite challenging for the first few days because you're still working in the other genre, if you like. So in our case, we download our novel onto a screenplay tablet, if you like, or onto the appropriate software, and then we go through it with a red pen, cross out all the extraneous stuff that you would never want in a screenplay, and then we highlight what we feel would make interesting viewing, and then we basically start from scratch and overhaul the whole thing and hopefully turn out a decent screenplay. So it's probably fair to say we don't approach it the same way twice, and whoever drives it is usually the writer who has had the most to do with the novel that we're adapting it from. So in the case of Fiji, that was more my work in terms of, that was my idea, I mean, from the outset. So therefore I drove the writing of the screenplay and James acted more as the editor for that. And it was the opposite case with The Ninth Orphan. Because that was James' brainchild, he drove the writing of the screenplay and I acted as editor for that. So, but there's a lot of mixing and matching and collaboration there.
And Lance has kindly gifted us a few copies of his book to give to our viewers, so head along to tvcentral.co.nz and tell us the name of one of Lance's books to be in to win. Just ahead, some of the events for Book Month. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. March is all about the love of books, so Hamilton City Libraries have come up with some great ideas to ensure all will enjoy a great read for New Zealand Book Month.
New Zealand Book Month is a not-for-profit initiative that's about promoting reading. It's about getting Kiwis being passionate about reading and sharing it. It's also about promoting New Zealand writers.
So tell me, what benefits or skills do people get from reading?
It's by reading you're increasing literacy. It's also about fun, it's about relaxing, it's also about exposing people to new ideas, philosophies and thoughts, yeah.
Now, with all the technology that's available for kids these days, do you think that could be affecting their reading ability or the popularity of a hardcover book?
I think the new technology is available, rather than affecting children's abilities, it's actually affecting the patterns of reading. What we're finding is the patterns for reading in children and adults is that they're increasing the recreational reading that they're doing and not so much the non-fiction, which is your factual reading. We're finding, they're going to other points of access for their factual information or non-fiction reading.
So what can we do to encourage kids to enjoy a good read?
I think we can make reading fun. You know, if children are interested in what they're reading, then they'll do it. It's really important that you help children select fun, interesting stuff. I think it doesn't matter what format reading's done in, whether it's online or it's graphic novels or some other format. The act of reading is what's really important. Other advice for parents or caregivers is, set an example yourself. Show them that you read and you're interested. The other thing is reading to your children. It's really important. 15 minutes a day is all you need. People love to be read to.
Now, Hamilton City Libraries have come up with a really good idea to get people involved with New Zealand Book Month. So can you tell us a bit about this?
Hamilton City Libraries has been involved in New Zealand Book Month since it started in 2006. But for the last 4 years, we've worked in a collaborative committee with other interested organisations such as Wintec, the University, the Friends of Hamilton Public Library, and just some volunteers who are interested in reading, writing and literature, and have put together a committee, and we meet and we come up with ideas. Yeah, so it's been quite good fun.
So what are some of the upcoming events?
On Tuesday last we had Auckland-based writer Stephanie Johnson come and speak at Wintec. She's an excellent writer and a lovely speaker. She came and talked to us about her book Our World and answered some questions about her writing process. We've got Scott Bainbridge on the 13th of March coming here to the Garden Place Library. He's a what we call true crime and cold case writer, so he's going to come and speak with us here. On the 19th and 20th of March, we've got Kate de Goldie, who's an award-winning writer and a reviewer. If you listen to national radio, she's coming and she's doing 3 events here. One at Wintec for high school students, which is by invitation only. A review panel here in the library on the 19th, and on the 20th up at Wintec, she's also got an open evening with a reading and question and answer session.
Who can attend these storytelling sessions?
They're open to the public in general, except for the one by invitation to high school students. We've tried to cover everybody we think who'll be interested in coming. So we've had a children's event, we had our adult fiction writer last night. We've got Scott Bainbridge coming up, who's our non-fiction writer next week. And then we've got Kate Goldie, she does reviewing, and also she's a young adult writer as well.
Now, what tips do you have for those who aren't quite a bookworm already?
Okay, one of the things that you can do, it's all about being interested. You know, pick stuff that's interesting. You don't have to finish a book if it's not interesting to you. I think that's a big key.
Now, as it is New Zealand Book Month, can you tell me what one of your favourite all-time books are?
I have 2 actually. That's called The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Which is my childhood favourite, and also The Half Men of O by Maurice G, which is a New Zealand writer.
And how can viewers find out more information about these storytelling evenings?
They can come to the Hamilton City Library's website. There's a link there to the New Zealand Book Month event calendar, as well as our own website. So yeah, just if they want to pop that in Google, they can look for that. And also there's posters around town in some of the booksellers and the libraries.
And what famous faces are backing this campaign?
This year they have Sir Peter Jackson, Annabelle Langbein, Dom Harvey, Oscar Kitely and Ben and Libby off the block. They're the ambassadors this year for New Zealand Book Month. Yeah.
Can you tell me about this month's theme?
It's basically books change lives. Yeah.
And what other promotions are running with New Zealand Book Month this month?
Keep your eye out. There's a $5 voucher. You'll see it in your booksellers, and I believe you can get it off the New Zealand Book Month website as well. So if you're going to go and buy a book at a bookseller, there's $5 off selected books.
And remember to head along to our website, tvcentral.co.nz, as we have a few copies of Lance Morkin's books to give away. We will be talking to more authors from around the region this month, so keep an eye out for that. That is the news for today and this week. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back next week with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening and a great weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.